Hi, I'm Scott Cosenza, along with Graham Noble, Dave Patterson, Lisa K. Donner, and John Clark, and this is the Conservative 5, Liberty Nation's online video news program. If at first you don't succeed, despite her lack of electoral success in the primary and general elections, Kamala Harris is thinking about running for president again. Before I run screaming from the room, let's hear from our panel about a potential Harris-Newsom ticket in 2028. As LL Cool J said, don't call it a comeback. Here is Kamala Harris making news with the BBC.
Stories of your baby nieces, Amara and Leela. When are they going to see a woman in charge in the White House?
In their lifetime, for sure.
Could it be you? Possibly. Have you made a decision yet?
No, I have not.
But you say in your book, I'm not done.
That is correct. I am not done. I have lived my entire career a life of service, and it's in my bones. And there are many ways to serve. I have not decided yet what I will do in the future beyond what I am doing right now.
Always tirelessly in service, Kamala persists. Could this be MAWA country in 2028, making America woke again? Lisa, do you see any appetite among Democrats for a renewed Harris for president campaign?
You know, Scott, I don't think there's ever really been an appetite among the Democrats for Kamala Harris. I think she just keeps getting shoved down their throats because she fits some kind of, box that they want to put people in. Everyone has to be inside a box, and Kamala Harris fits a couple of them. So they keep running her up the flagpole, and nobody is saluting over and over again. So I think this is a non-starter, and everybody, and not to jump ahead, but everybody in the world knows that Senor Hairgel is going to run from governor of California. And he could beat her easily.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, too, that this would-be leader of America didn't even give the scoop to an American production, by the way. She gave it to the BBC. How funny is that? John Clark, you're very active in retail politics, including running for office. Having vice president and president from the same state does seem sort of preposterous to a political dinosaur like me, but in a world where Donald Trump is in his second term separated by almost a prison sentence, is it so wild? Could they do both Harris and Newsom on the same ticket?
Well, I think they surely could. But one thing that has not changed is that traditionally, candidates are selected from different geographical areas. And to pick two candidates from California, I really think would be potentially a weak ticket. How would the Southeast, for instance, feel represented? And so a lot of that might hinge upon how California is presented as well. As Lisa mentions, the hair won't do it. AOC has nice hair, too. As far as her running in the MAWA idea, on the Republican side, I think that they would be delighted to see Kamala Harris run again. It's almost a sure win, unless maybe Jasmine Crockett is in the ring. But I do think that you're correct what you point out. Traditionally, both parties try to select candidates that are representative of maybe rural America or certainly different parts of the region. If California is viewed by many people in rural America based on what Los Angeles looks like, even though it's a large economy, and there has been discussion of California seceding from the union, that's not a very unifying message. So I think that would be a double weakness.
Graham, could they run and run away from wokeness? It seems like woke is sort of their brand in a way. And that, many of those in the country seem to have lost an appetite for it, but it doesn't seem like Newsom and Harris have. Is that a thing?
Well, yeah, that is a problem. And of course, it's interesting that Newsom from time to time will sort of pretend that he's not really woke. He'll and now and again, he'll speak out against some of the things.
I agree with you on that.
But then again, he goes and does them. His policies very much reflect the fact that he's all in on the whole woke thing. I think a Harris-Newsom ticket or a Newsom-Harris ticket are non-starters, because, you can't have two candidates both from California. It's just, that's a non-starter. And also, neither one of those two is going to play second fiddle to the other one. So it could be, that Harris may well run for president, Newsom may well run for president, they may well be battling it out between them. I don't ever see a point in which there is a Harris-Newsom presidential ticket.
We've seen in the past some enemies of certain political ideologies or candidates fund particularly odious examples for the other side in order to kind of present the worst possible example for then people to turn their attention. So could we see Mrs. Sheldon Adelson or any of the other major GOP backers try to fund a Harris-Newsom campaign as a, sort of a stalking horse for a nothing burger?
I don't think so. I think that's a Democratic strategy. Republicans don't normally do that. I mean, they of course could, but not historically. But it's really interesting if you think about it. The Democrats right now are in a position where they're taking all of their Jello wannabes and throwing them against the wall and see what sticks. And right now, they're all kind of dripping down in unison. But I think that if you look at some of the crowdsourced odds markets, and if there are any indication in a group of 20 potential candidates, Harris comes in 20-1 odds against nomination. And that's important because, they have to go through a primary first. And that's where Harris was weeded out even before the voting began. And it's entirely possible that could happen once again. You mentioned Laura Kuenssberg and her interview of Harris. It is interesting that that Harris would be trailing in a notional competition with Hollywood actor Dwayne Johnson, and he hasn't even said that he was even considering being a nominee.
I missed that, Dave, on the BBC production. Go ahead, Lisa.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but I do believe that George W. Bush, 43, and Cheney were both from Texas, even though Cheney, of course, is a Wyoming guy, but he was living in Texas at the time.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it bears witness to the fact that two candidates, the vice president and president from the same state or region, that may be old hat these days.
Yeah, but I just wanted to bring that up because it did happen recently, relatively recently, and I believe Cheney had to go and reestablish residency in Wyoming. But,
Well, he didn't have to establish Wyoming residency in order to be on the ticket. He may have done so because it was advantageous, but there's no requirement for diversity.
there is some kind of requirement that it's not about the two states, but there is some issue there. I can't remember what it is now, but he had to get out of Texas and reestablish in Wyoming. I can't remember why. Does anybody else remember that?
No, I think it's primarily convention, Lisa, as opposed to anything that's
Our Constitution is silent on the status of state residency on
I'll go to the information Bible when the show is over, or better yet, why don't some of our viewers look it up and correct me? That would be good.
I just think with this, though, to me, it's all a matter of. I think it's easy for a president and a vice president from, say, Texas or many other states could get away with it. I just don't think a ticket where both people on the ticket are from California, of all places.
Yeah.
Because there's just a certain, a lot of the rest of the country looks at California, the West Coast elites, they don't know anything about the rest of America, so I just think to California, regardless of constitutionality or legality or anything else, I just think, two Californians running together. No, I don't think the rest.
I agree, Graham. That raised the question for me as well, which is why I presented it. It just seems so, especially in this time where you would think that both of them would be trying to inch away from the woke reputation that they have.
Let me just say one thing. Does anybody remember the old song by Sade, Smooth Operator?
Yes.
Okay, that's Gavin Newsom, in my humble opinion.
Thanks, panel. One point that I think is seldom reported on with as much attention that it should be is that the trappings of power, regardless of what people would have do with them, conservative or liberal influence, influences these decisions. It can't be understated how great it must be to just get in a car, go to the airport, no stoplights, no traffic lights. You fly wherever you want in the world. Somebody else pays for it. You don't even wait 10 seconds. So maybe that's part of it too. Thank you. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. I'm your host, Scott Cosenza, sitting in for Ellen Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today for the latest news and commentary. Free thinking, free speech, LibertyNation.com.